guy's in!
Oh, man. Did you hear that? Nobody near
I'll have somebody's ass for this!
Perhaps you heard that.
Nope. You're a day late, damn it! We had to sleep on the floor last night! Where the hell have you idiots been?
I think I've become a Chevy Chase apologist. I know his sarcastic, dry delivery is not for everyone, but with the right script and director, he's been able to channel that delivery into comedy that's undeniable in its charm. Case in point, Funny Farm, an almost cult classic. Now, before the comments pour in, yes, I know that Funny Farm has recently begun to be acknowledged as a true cult classic. But I still feel more people should be talking about this movie, a movie that I find to be Chevy Chase's best work.
I bet those are just the things we come to love the most. What was that for?
A mosquito. Honest.
What I love most about Funny Farm is how it feels like a screwball comedy from the 1940s repurposed for audiences in the 1980s. Something that I feel is truly commendable, especially during an era when comedy movies were so raunchy.
Nonsense, you're light as a feather. Jeez! Oh! Honey! Oh, God, are you alright?
Released in 1988, Funny Farm is based on a novel by Jay Cronley, an author who also wrote the novels that Let It Ride and Quick Change were based on. It was adapted by Jeffrey Baum, a criminally underrated and dynamic screenwriter who wrote comedies like this, as well as darker film adaptations like The Dead Zone, as well as entries to popular franchises, such as Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which many consider to be the best sequel in the franchise. Baum originally envisioned his adaptation to be more crude and vulgar in its humor. When George Roy Hill signed on, an acclaimed director who helmed movies such as The Sting and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, he asked Baum to rewrite the script to be more classy and wholesome in its humor. In a 2013 interview, Baum said, "I imagined it to be a little cruder, more lowbrow humor, rougher and more like the movies Chevy was doing at the time. But George was a classy guy, and he wasn't going to do that. He made the movie classy, and I think a lot of Chevy's fans were let down because it wasn't as raucous and vulgar as they might have expected." Now, in virtually every IMDb trivia section for a movie Chevy Chase appeared in, you'll find some alleged story about how he was difficult to work with on set. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Chevy produced a couple of movies in the late 80s and early 90s, including Funny Farm and Memoirs of an Invisible Man. The idea to adapt the Funny Farm novel to film actually began with Chevy.
I thought this would be distinctly different because of George Roy Hill. I think that he has an eye and a gift and a feel for things that's distinctly him. And that's what really drew me to the project, although admittedly I bought the book first and had the script written. The book drew me to the project first, but the idea of working with George is really what made me know that this will not be the same as your run-of-the-mill Money Pit or Mr. Blandings Builds a Dream House. I don't know how you call that run-of-the-mill, but certainly that there might be comparisons, but it's not the same.
Chevy, Baum, and Hill then spent a year reworking the script. The result is a script that perfectly satirizes the small-town setting and characters of Norman Rockwell's America.
That belonged to my husband. It was his favorite chair. I don't believe a soul has sat in that chair since the day his heart attacked him.
Seen through the eyes of two outsiders, New Yorkers Andy and Elizabeth Farmer, played by Chevy and Madeline Smith. In the movie, they move from the big city to a small town in Vermont. It was primarily shot on location in Townshend, Vermont, and the town itself becomes a character. And since we're already talking about underrated things, Madeline Smith is such an overlooked comedy actress. She appeared in many of these lesser appreciated comedy movies and was always great. She retired from the screen in 1994, and her presence in movies is sorely missed.
Where'd you get that?
From the picnic basket.
Anything else?
No.
Chevy is also terrific in this movie, and the two of them make a perfect couple. Both actors give each other their own time to be funny, and don't walk over one another. Much like other movies that Chevy appears in, the story allows him to be sarcastic and a certain degree of unlikable. But here, it always pays off.
So we just had the floors done, so I don't want a lot of scratches and scrapes. Just take it easy on the floors, okay? Stop!
The supporting cast is also just wonderful. The townspeople are made up of a great array of eccentric personalities, played by great character actors. From a town sheriff who doesn't know how to drive,
I got something here for you, Miss Farmer.
to a mailman with an unorthodox approach to delivery,
Problem is, your place is 5 miles off his regular route. By the time he gets all the way out to here, he's pretty well liquored up and pissed off. My advice is, learn to live with it.
and even a diner cook with a specialty dish that you can't get anywhere else.
I thought that record was gonna last forever. Most folks just don't seem to have a taste for testicles no more.
Testicles?
Yes, ma'am. Sheep balls.
Andy and Elizabeth just become the perfect audience surrogates into this world, with so much of the comedy coming from just their reactions. The rest of the jokes are so well timed and executed though. Virtually every single joke that is set up has a payoff. There's a gag set up where the farmers can't make a phone call because the operators think they're calling from a payphone, much to their frustration.
What slot? There is no slot. Haven't you been listening to me? This is not a payphone. This is a goddamn 1948 table model with a 12-inch cord that some jackass put in my cabinet.
Disconnect.
Sheriff's office, please.
It's a really funny scene that doesn't end there, with this great callback later in the movie.
I don't know, I didn't try it.
Why not?
I didn't have any change.
There's a couple of physical comedy bits as well, but they're not over the top or too silly. They feel real and showcase Chevy's talent in physical comedy.
Want to fight, do you?
Oh, Christ! Get him! Elizabeth! Elizabeth! Ah! Ah!
Unlike a lot of family comedies of this era, there are two elements that really aid Funny Farm. One is the fact that the farmers don't have kids. There doesn't have to be a forced subplot about a resentful teen daughter falling in love with a local, or a little brother who misses his friends back home. It's great and allows the two adults to be the center of the movie. And two, the farmers actually have marital problems that come to light as the movie progresses. Andy tries too hard, kind of like Clark Griswold, but Elizabeth has a breaking point, rightfully so. It gives the movie higher stakes. It's a great take on the perfect, loving family you see represented in Rockwell's work. And it adds a realism to the movie. And then, just when you think the movie is done topping itself, in the third act, it kind of becomes a Christmas movie. It's not overt or distracting, but it really helps bring home the theme of satirizing the depictions of small-town America. I won't spoil too much else for those who haven't seen it, but the ending is wonderful, something akin to the work of Frank Capra.
Joy! Toast to the farmers!
The movie opened at number 4 on June 3rd, 1988, a product of bad timing, coming out against major hits like Crocodile Dundee 2 and Big. It also suffered from bad marketing, as the original theatrical poster is laughably bad, and so misrepresentative of the core of the movie. Also, the phrase cracked up should never be allowed in a movie's tagline. Ever. It should be illegal. It wasn't until later that the Norman Rockwell-inspired poster art by Steve Chorney replaced it. Drew Struzan also worked on an unused concept poster. Unlike other movies I've covered in this series, this one was pretty adored by even Chevy's harshest critics.
Chevy Chase and Madeline Smith, who are fine individually, shaky a little bit in the beginning as a couple, but then they become part of what really is a great team effort on this little comedy called Funny Farm. I think it's the best summer movie I've seen.
Well, this is the best work I've seen Chevy Chase do in a movie probably ever.
Well,
I mean, for
Fletch
once,
was
he's
great,
not
but
always standing there and simply making his little kind of Saturday Night Live aside. So I don't want to criticize. He's been in some other good movies. This is his best work.
He got the best script.
It's the best script, it's the best direction, it's the best ensemble acting by all of those townspeople. I mean, the idea of having a town inhabited by a lot of weirdos is not new.
That's correct.
But these are new weirdos. And these are new ideas for what to do with the weirdos, so that this is not just another recycled City Slickers Go to the Country movie. It blindsides us with a lot of these jokes.
Thanks in part to cable, the movie developed an adoring fan base in the 90s. If you haven't seen it in a long time, I really encourage you to revisit this one. It's damn near perfect, and honestly has only gotten better with age. Even though it has its own cult following, it's still severely overlooked. It's a delightful blend of classic comedy, great performances, and a charming slice of small-town American life.
Tell them why yours are so tasty.
Well, the trick is, you've got to clip them off way up high.